We're doing a study that we're calling How to Live a Happy Life. We're looking at the book of Ecclesiastes, and I know a lot of people think, what a title for the book of Ecclesiastes, but you just study with me, and I think you will come to the same understanding that I did. This is basically what Solomon is talking about, how to live a productive life, and if you do, it's a happy life. The lesson that we're studying tonight is one that's called the Great Equalizer. We're going to study the subject of death. The Great Equalizer, and it's taken from Ecclesiastes, the 9th chapter. Now, if there's one thing that young people seldom ever think about, it's the subject of death. Young people act like they're immortal, that they will never face death. That's just normal and it's natural. We all grow up that way, but the fact remains that as surely as we were born, we will die. Until Jesus returns, until this world changes, that's going to be a fact of the life that we live. And so that's what Solomon is dealing with, how to make a profit out of our life, and this becomes the ultimate problem for him. Is the problem of death. Now, I've met people, you probably have too. Some people refuse to go to funerals. It's like they can avoid death if they never go to a funeral. Well, it's not going to work that way, my friend. That's just not so. It's like the man, refused to go to bed because more people die in bed than anywhere else. Or the man that, he moved because he discovered that almost everybody dies within 25 miles of where they live. And so, no, you're just refusing to deal with the subject of death. It's a part of the world. Now, to show the way that we treat it, we invent nice words to talk about death. When we speak about death, for instance, we'll say things like, he passed away, or she departed, or they went to heaven. Now, all of those, and we know what we mean by saying that, but it's just a nice way of talking about this difficult subject of death. It is true, heaven is real. Heaven is true for those that know God. But remember, Solomon's subject, what he's talking about is what he calls life under the sun. In other words, a life that is lived without God. And if you leave God out of your life, it's not going to be a happy ending, my friend. You needn't dream about heaven if you're going to leave God out of your life. And so, without God, death becomes the ultimate mystery. It's the biggest unanswered question, is the subject of death. What happens? Where do we go? Now, when you think about it, there is not one thing that we could do in preparation for our birth. Not one thing. You didn't pick out some lady and say, I want her for my mommy and I want him for my daddy. No. It doesn't work that way, friend. You basically take whatever you get. It's whatever God gives you. You have no choice in that. But on the other hand, there is much that we can do to prepare for death. Now, it's not wise for us to not make some type of preparation when we know it is coming. It's how we respond to death that separates us from the rest of the animal kingdom, from all the other animals on planet Earth. This is one of the great proofs of God and eternity, is how we deal with the subject of death. Now, let me divide this basically into two main parts. Let me talk about, first of all, what I'm going to call the evil of death. The evil of death. And the first thing I will point out at the evil of death is what I call the enemy of our lives. Death is not your friend. No, not at all. The Bible says that death is an enemy. Death is the great equalizer of life. It equalizes everybody. It comes to everyone, whether you're smart or whether you're foolish, whether you're good or whether you're bad, whether you're rich or whether you're poor. It doesn't matter what your race is, what language you speak. Ultimately, everybody is going to deal with death. Nobody avoids it. Ultimately, everybody dies. Now, this scripture reference that I give to you in 1 Corinthians 15:26, it's where Paul says, and the last enemy, now notice his wording here, the last enemy to be destroyed is death. Note that. Death is not our friend. Death is our enemy. I remember one time when I was pastoring in Ohio, there was a man came to me and he said, my 8-year-old boy just asked me a question I can't answer. Can you help me? And I said, well, give me the question. He said, my little boy wants to know, Daddy, does the death angel work for God or for the devil? And I laughed and said, well, it's quite obvious. He works for the devil because he is our enemy. He works for the devil because ultimately the Bible said death and hell will be cast into the lake of fire. Death is not our friend. He is an enemy. And we have to understand that. Now, one of the main reasons that we have death is because it's teaching us we don't have control over our lives. Now, nobody really likes that. And we don't even want to admit it, but death forces that. See, we like to act like we can do what I want to do, that I'm free, and there's certain truth within that, but it's within the perimeter of death and life. Outside of that, no, we don't have much control at all about the future. And so when we face death, we are forced to face the fact that we don't have the last word. God has the last word, my friend. We don't. Death forces that on us. Now, it's quite obvious that no sane person wants to die. And listen to me very carefully here, because I think this is one of the things that we must deal with when we're faced with someone that commits suicide. Someone that commits suicide, friend, you need to leave that in God's hands, because that's one of those mysteries that's beyond us. It's not rational to want to die. The natural thing is to want to live. And so any person that is pushed to that point that they make the irrational decision of taking their own life, obviously is acting irrationally or insanely. The truth is, we are helpless in the face of death. There's nothing we can do that's going to change it. I've talked to men that were millionaires that were facing death, and they would say, I would give all of my millions if I could just buy one more year. But you can't. It's impossible. Death is the great equalizer. It shows us we don't have control. Now, a second thing concerning the evil of death is the evil that is in our own hearts. The evil that's in our heart. Death shows there is evil in our hearts. Let me follow what Solomon's reasoning is here. He says it's crazy for us to act like we're never going to die when we all know that death is coming. Well, he's right. He's absolutely right. And so he said, that's insanity, or it's madness. He goes on to say it is madness for us to live in sin when we know this life will end. He is exactly right. That shows something is wrong with our hearts. And for us to make no preparation for death is the height of folly. We all know that it's coming, so we need to make preparation for it. And the reason that we don't, the reason we avoid it, is because something is wrong in our own heart. Now let me talk about a third area in the evil of death, is what I would call the expectancy of our lives. The greatest difference between the living and the dead is this word, hope. Hope. And Solomon, he uses some of his classical humor in this. But he says, to the living, there's always a hope of a better life, a hope of a better future. But the truth is, the dead cannot change anything. It's over. It's finished for them. And Solomon points this out so vividly in this story. He said, their die is cast. There's no tomorrow as far as this life is over. It's finished for them. And so the hope is gone. And then, as I said, in his humor, he uses this analogy of a living dog is better than a dead lion. Oh, Carrie did an excellent job picking pictures on that one. The little doggy here that looks, so helpless, so timid and such, and the roaring lion. But Solomon observes, for the living there's hope. But if you're a lion and you're dead, it's all over, my friend. It's all finished. Now, let me give you the second part of the lesson. Let's talk about what I'm going to call the enjoyment of our lives. He's talked about the evil of death and how that death is the great equalizer. We all have to deal with this, and we all have the sin nature. Then he switches. He turns the story to what I will call the enjoyment of our lives, and he focuses again basically on three areas here. The first one he talks about is what we'll call enjoy your meals. Now, what Solomon is doing here in this second part of this lesson, he's giving us one of the keys for how to live a successful life. If you're going to make a profit with your life, you've got to learn to enjoy it. This is something that so many people need to understand. It's much better to smile than to frown. Then why don't we frown so often? Why don't we smile more often? See, there's so many things we have no control over whatsoever, and as I just pointed out, death is one of them. But why worry about things that we cannot control? Now, I know there's some people, they think that worry does help. I remember the lady saying, what do you mean worrying doesn't help? None of those things I worried about happened. And worrying was the thing that changed them. But no, worrying doesn't change anything. Why do you want to worry about things that you cannot control? The truth is, God has shown his approval for our works by giving us food to eat. By giving us this day. Been a beautiful day today, even though it's been a little windy, but a beautiful day. Have you enjoyed the sunshine? It's a gift from God that he has given to us. So learn to enjoy it. He said, learn to enjoy your food. Oh my. Why is it that we pick out the one thing on the table we don't like rather than enjoying something that we do like? Enjoy the simple things of life, as though it is a gift from God. In reality, it is. Now, Solomon's talking about life lived without God, but he keeps coming back to this. God is there because you can't ignore it. You can't avoid it. God is there. So take and turn your simple meal into a banquet. How? By smiling, by enjoying it. Another thing that he talks about is learn to enjoy your marriage. My. Well, people, they're strange creatures, aren't they? You see a young couple, they're so madly in love, they can't wait to get married, and then they get married, and the fight begins, and they start fussing and quarreling with each other. Why do you want to do that? I mean, that's not smart. You're not going to make a profit by doing that. Learn to enjoy your marriage. See, the truth is, your burdens are lightened when you share them with others. Your joys are multiplied when you share them with others. When you share the things that you enjoy with someone that you love, it doubles the pleasure. Oh, I do this quite frequently. My wife does it. That, when I've done something I like, or I found something in the Bible that that is good. I can't wait to share it with her, because in sharing it, it doubles my pleasure. So learn to enjoy your family, enjoy your marriage. What you need to do is put the focus on the blessing instead of putting the focus on the burdens. There's always going to be things that you don't like, that I don't like, but why put our focus upon that? Put your focus on the things we do like, and you'll find yourself not only enjoying life more, but the people around you will be enjoying it. See, the truth is, happiness is a choice of our heart. Boy, I spend a lot of my time working with the poor of this world. And one of the things I've discovered is some of the poorest people are some of the happiest people on earth. Why? Because money doesn't buy happiness. Happiness is a choice of your heart. You can either be happy because you choose to be happy, or you can be unhappy because you choose to be unhappy. Now, it's that simple. I'm going to choose to be happy. Why should we? Why should we focus on the things that we don't like? Learn to make every day special. This is the day the Lord hath made. Take it and turn it into something that you enjoy. If you do that, you're going to start making a profit with your life. You're going to start enjoying it. Now, the third thing that Solomon talks about here is what I'm going to call enjoy your mission. Enjoy your mission. Now, what I'm talking about is your work. Oh, I know I just lost some of you right there. The moment I mentioned work, for so many people, they don't like work. See, work is not a curse. Work is a blessing for the living. For those that are still alive, it's their opportunity to do something productive, to do something that is profitable, to do something that will make your life a success, and you won't end up empty-handed and unhappy. In fact, Solomon points out here, one of the requires of living a happy life is doing rewarding work. I believe he's absolutely right. And this is the mistake that I see so many people make in the United States is they're working jobs they hate. The only reason they're doing it is for the money. Boy, that is not a good reason to be doing it. You need to find something that matches your gifts, something you love, something you enjoy, something you are passionate about. You're never going to do your best unless you are passionate about what you are doing. So he asks some questions here that will help to guide us in our work. One of them is, what kind of work should we do? That's a good question. The answer to that is simply, we should do whatever work is available that we are gifted to do. For instance, it's quite obvious, and it became obvious early in my life, that God had gifted me with the gift of teaching. That's who I am. That's what motivates me. Teaching. And when I'm teaching, suddenly I come alive because that's what I'm gifted to do. So find something that matches your gifts. Find something that you enjoy doing. Find something that is a pleasure to you. It takes work and turns it into fun. And when it becomes fun, then you're going to start making a success. I've discovered that people will not keep on doing the same things if there's no pleasure in it. If they hate what they're doing, they're never going to be their best at their job. So we're never going to be happy by just sitting around complaining. That doesn't help you. It doesn't help anybody else. Nobody wants to hear your complaints. Sometimes I know we have to deal with problems, but that's not going to bring a success in your life. So Solomon's advice is, get busy. And soon we will be enjoying the fruit of our labor. Soon we'll be reaping from it. Now here's the second question that is asked, and I think it's a very good one. How should we work? Not just what should I do, but how should I do it? We should work with all our might. In other words, do your best job. Work with all of your might. The Apostle Paul said it this way: whatever you do in word or in deed, that pretty well covers it, doesn't it? In word or in deed, do it all as unto the Lord Jesus. Well, that is good counsel. Good counsel. Whatever you're doing, do it as if you were serving Jesus, if you were doing it unto the Lord. Now, if you're going to do that, you'll be giving it your best effort. For instance, what if you could invite Jesus to come to your home? How would you treat him? What would you do? You would do your very best for him. That's what he's saying we should do with our work. With our work, we should do our best as unto the Lord. Do it with all of your might, or give it your best effort. Don't just sit around and wait for another opportunity. No, be in competition with yourself. Stop competing with other people. Be in competition with yourself to do a better job than you did the last time. And soon you'll be rewarded for the fruit of your labor. I can still remember the deacon that came to me on a Wednesday night, and I know he was trying to be nice to me. He said, "Oh, Pastor, that was an excellent sermon. That was a Sunday morning sermon." And I know what he meant. He's talking about there's more people here on Sunday night than there is on Wednesday night and such. And I said, as long as I'm pastor of this church, there will not be Sunday morning sermons and Sunday night and Wednesday night. Every time I speak, I'm going to do the very best job I can do. Because I'm not in competition with anybody else. I'm in competition with myself to be my best for God. Now, I challenge you, if you're going to make a success with your life, that's the way you need to learn to live as well. Be in competition with yourself to do your best. And if you do your best, soon you will find yourself elevated to other areas of success. If you don't do your best, you're not learning, you're not growing, you're not going to be successful that way. All right, let me talk about a third question here, talking about our work. Why should we work? You know, there's some people, they've already checked out because they want to retire and they haven't done anything yet. You know, it's not going to happen that way, friend. Why should we work? Here's the reason. We should work because death is coming. And when it comes, we will lose the opportunity to make our world a better place. We will lose the opportunity to make a profit with our life. Why should we work? We should work because we've been given a wonderful opportunity. A wonderful opportunity in this day that God has given to us. Be your very best. Do your best to become successful. This is your chance. This is your opportunity. Don't point your finger blaming everybody else for the world's problems. What are you doing to make this a better place to live? What have you done to make planet Earth a better habitat, a better place for people to live? God help us to understand this is our opportunity. And the way we should live, I'm going to give it my best shot. I think one of the sad philosophies that has been sold to the people in the United States is the idea of retirement. And I've met these friends. They can't wait to get off this job that I hate so I can retire and move to Florida and play shuffleboard. Well, that is really exciting, isn't it? I mean, you've really got some high stakes there. I would be bored out of my mind. When it's over, I want it to be over. I want to live as long as I can be productive. And people look at me and they'll say to me things, well, I don't think God expects us to work until we die. And I say, you don't understand. It's my work that's keeping me alive. I mean, I'm 70-some years old till I walk on this platform, and when I begin teaching, I'm 17 years old. I mean, something happens that motivates me, that causes me to come alive, because I know I'm doing what I was born to do. And it's some of the best days of my life. So it's my opportunity. It's your opportunity. The truth is, we do not know the time of our death. We don't know when it's going to be over. But I promise you, friend, until Jesus Christ returns, one day it will. And all of us are going to face the great Equalizer. Every one of us are going to face death. I want to face it with a smile. I know that death is my enemy, but I'm going to put my enemy to work for me on that day. And I say, oh, death, where is your sting? Oh, grave, where is your victory? I want you to take me to Jesus, to the best friend I've ever had. Take me to Jesus, and I'm going to make my enemy become my footstool. He's going to have to work for me and carry me to meet Jesus. Oh, my. As you can see, I close with this statement. Learn to enjoy your work. Whatever it is that God has gifted you to do, whatever it is that God has given you the talents and the abilities to do, give it your best shot. Give it your all, and your life will be a success. Your life will make a difference in people's lives. That's the way I live. I challenge you to live the same way. And so, on your journey of faith, as you follow Jesus Christ, I challenge you, don't allow death to be a mystery. Don't allow it to be an evil force. No. Make Jesus your friend, Lord of your life, and death will have to serve you.